got some positive feedback from last week, so I figured, hey, let's do it again. So, a lot to talk about, a lot of changes going on, a lot of news in the sport. And man, did we have another great weekend of racing at Washougal. Tomac and Sexton are just, man, they're laying it down. They're 30, 40 seconds ahead of anyone else, still 20 plus seconds ahead of people even when they crash into each other. That was pretty comical. So, We'll cover some topics and news while we wait for some people to come in. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Got some highlights on my secondary channel of that amazing two motos between Tomac and Sexton from Washougal. So if you weren't able to see the race, go check those out. We're gonna have a reaction video with my buddy Old Golden Wonder. We're gonna start doing a series of video once a week where he sees a race he's never seen before. He's been in motorsports his whole, probably for, 90s, early 2000s, even mid 2000s. So probably for a good 15 years, he was in motorsports, NASCAR teams, and other forms of road racing. So he's new to the sport pretty much. He knows of it, but he hasn't seen pretty much anything. So it's cool to get his take on it, especially with his racing background, and he's hilarious. So look out for that. So yeah. Let's see what we got going on here. I'm just impressed by how Sexton just seems to latch on to Tomac every time Tomac passes him, except for at Southwick. What a skill that is to be able to have a guy who, Tomac looks like he's going to not just pass him and kind of slowly march away. Like, he opens up, second half 2 second gap within the first lap he passes him, but Sexton's just able just to latch right onto the dude and go. And it's interesting because we haven't seen Eli be able to do that back to Sexton. Sexton passed him at the first moto of Millville, and Eli wasn't able to match that pace. He wasn't able to latch on. So I feel like Chase kind of has an advantage there. Pretty one-line track, so Chase started out front in that second moto, and I felt like whoever kind of started out front was going to stay out front, but Chase still got it done. He's proven that he's able to run the pace of Tomac, I should say, and I don't think we've ever seen this consistently out of anybody. I've never seen Tomac ride as aggressively as he did at Millville, so yeah, pretty nuts. So anyways, you guys that are watching right now, if you got any questions or whatever you'd like to talk about motor-related, throw some questions into the chat. Or, hey, comment how you feel about this past race or how things are going. Something that's been extremely frustrating is the broadcast. I don't want to put anybody down. That's not what I'm here for or whatever, but it has to be better. It's been pretty terrible this year, starting out with the first round, buy MAV TV, then they stream it for free. So everybody, they buy the MAV TV subscription, and it turns out you can watch the first race for free. Now, probably would have bought it anyways, but I just don't like when people do that. At least tell us that you're going to do that beforehand, right? And then obviously the broadcast is crashing and having all sorts of glitches and issues, and then they're switching the flow, and luckily there's still some people kind of live streaming it, so that's kind of how I've been watching it the last few weeks. They announced they're switching the flow. They switched the flow earlier than they said they would. And then they said they would offer a $6.99 subscription. So this past weekend, I tried to take them up on that offer, but, the page expired, so it doesn't seem like that's available anymore. So now you pretty much have to pay $150 to watch the last 4 races of the year. That's not cool. It's not cool at all. So, yeah, I don't know what to think about the broadcast anymore. It's a shame because the racing's just been incredible. So, yeah, it's it's tough, and they're kind of hurting themselves probably more than anything for next year, especially with World Supercross coming up. So, speaking of World Supercross, Chad Reed comes out of retirement. It's kind of old news now. It broke last week, but pretty cool. The guy can obviously still ride. He's a legend. He's going to draw a lot of interest into that. On top of that, you already have Ken Roxon, who's racing the whole series. Eli Tomac's going to race at least one round. Probably only one round for sure, but yeah, pretty neat. So looking forward to seeing that. Enjoy watching the Cooksy's videos, and he broke some interesting information on a video this past week that it sounds like Feld and MX Sports are going to do some kind of merger. They're going to at least work alongside each other. They want to create a Grand National Series, which is where the points will be combined from Supercross and Motocross. I'm not sure if there's going to be separate championships like there still is, but there's at least going to be a Grand National Champion, which I think that's cool. I actually did a video on that of who would have been the overall motocross champion from 2021. So I did that at the end of the outdoors last year, where I combined the points from Supercross and Motocross, and I think that's something that needs to be brought back, so that's cool. I enjoy that. What else do we got? They're going to increase the purse apparently by $10 million over the whole year to the riders, so that's awesome. This is a good situation of how competition, now that you have World Supercross kind of threatening the other series, how competition ends up creating a better situation for the riders and the teams and really the fans. It'd be nice if they can get a way more solid broadcast next year for outdoors, so that would be nice. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think of all this stuff, but it's got to be positive in some way. So a lot of changes going on, though. There's no doubt about that. Eli Tomac wins an ESPY. I think that's pretty cool. That's a big deal for the sport, and it's just something to get in the mainstream, And he went up against 3 Olympians, so that's pretty cool. So moto fans really showed up for that one. So yeah, important, I think, milestone is pretty cool this week as we reached 25,000 subscribers on this channel. So thank you guys. Appreciate the support. That's awesome. Been building it for I think I started about 2.5 years ago. So cool to get to this point. It's kind of crazy is when I look at my stats, there's like 90% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So it's kind of crazy thing to look at, but it just shows that there's more people out there to reach. So yeah, thanks for the support. It's much appreciated. Major bummer at Washougal, going back to that. How about Ryan Dungey, huh? He starts out first moto looking great, and he looked like he could run their pace, Sexton and Tomac's pace. I was really interested to see where that was going to go, because we've only seen him really start out front. Maybe the second moto at High Point, and he hung in there most of the race. He was maybe 4 or 5 seconds off the lead until the very end there. So that would have been really cool to see. So bummer for him. Literally couldn't happen at a worse time. Probably at his best track. He definitely had a podium in him with how he was riding. So that totally sucks. So what do you guys think about Unadilla? I think we have 3 weeks until Unadilla. I expect Sexton to go 1-1 there. If you look at last year, Roxon swept it, but Sexton was the next best guy. So I really expect Sexton to take that one, take it over. So I wouldn't be surprised if Eli went 1-1 either, but I expect that Sexton will go 1-1. Tomac will probably go 2-2, and then we're still within a point of each other for the championship. And I think we head to Budds Creek after that. Both guys should be good there. We've seen Tomac have amazing rides at Budds, so that's cool. And just have to see what happens. I mean, it's going to probably come down to the last moto of the year for sure. So that's going to be so interesting. I can't wait. I just hope that we can get a break with this. We can get a break with this TV deal with the broadcast. Like, man, I was doing the raw reaction with my buddy yesterday, and he even can't believe it. He's not like a hardcore fan or anything. He's just been kind of watching with me and him casually here and there, and he's like, dude, what is going on with the racing, with the broadcast? What is going on with the quality? He can't believe it for someone who's been in professional motorsport racing for some time. So hope that gets better. Sounds like the 250 Motocross of Nations selection for us is between Craig and Barsha. I think after this weekend, I think the favorite is Craig. I think it's pretty obvious why. I mean, Craig's been consistently finishing in front of Barsha. I feel like Barsha's kind of high risk, high reward, with the way he rides and all that, where Craig will be more consistent, probably a safe bet for the 250. So that'll be pretty good. That'll be interesting. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it should be Craig or Barsha or what? My vote would be Craig right now, but maybe that'll change. But we'll probably get a decision by the time we get to Unadilla. So we'll see what goes on there. Jet just he just finds a way to get it done, So it's pretty incredible. He's so mature for a young guy. I think he's only 18. And he's won all but one race this outdoor season. That's pretty awesome. He's got a 25 or 26 point lead, and that's after DNFing a moto. He should ride this thing in pretty good. Shimoda, I think, is pretty close to putting in a challenge, but I think at the end of the races, he just has to find that last little bit. What do you guys think about the whole Tomac versus Sexton thing? Do you sway one way or the other now that Sexton got the W over Tomac straight up? I'd still say it's a 50-50 shot at the championship. I think we have two good tracks, like I said a little bit earlier, for each guy's coming up. So obviously, Unadilla, I think, goes to Sexton on paper. I think Budds Creek probably goes to Tomac. I think Ironman could go to both, but probably Tomac. And we've seen Tomac, he struggled really hard at the beginning of 21 at the first round there, like he did this year. But then last year he wins at Paulo when it's super hot, super rough, super dry. So I hear a lot of people saying that Sexton's got Paul in the bag, but I don't know. Based on how Eli rode last year, I feel like it's pretty even. So I think they're pretty much going to go 1-2 for the rest of the season. I think it'd be really interesting if they kept swapping motos each weekend, right? Tying on points, because then it would really keep things close. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know why, but when I first heard of JB, I pronounced his name like Garcia. Happy for such a good battle, just hate it's on map. Oh, dude, that's terrible. I don't know what they changed this year, but it's I don't understand. Like I was saying, you'll see the video hopefully tomorrow. I'll come out with the raw reaction to Washougal with my bud. I watch races from 2014 all the time, and HD quality, no issues with the broadcast. Obviously, it's a replay, but at the time I remember watching and there's no issues. I don't know what they did this year. I don't know what they did. Just keep doing what you were doing. It was perfectly fine. I don't know if they must have cut costs or change producers or change. I don't know what they did. I don't. And it's like, I've never seen a professional sport this poor at broadcasting. So, the Joey G says, I know it's been low key, but Ando has probably seen having his best outdoors this season. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's won motos in the past. I'd like to, it's the most consistent outdoor season he's had. He had a few down rounds there where he was caught up in first turn pileups, but got an overall, which he never done. And he stayed healthy. I don't think we've seen Ando have a full healthy season in outdoors on the 450 from what I can remember. Maybe in 2015 or 2016 he did his rookie season, but I can't recall him going all the way through. So, yeah, it's a good step in the right direction. I think he's had more. I think in 2017 he won 2 or 3 motos. So, when it comes to individual motos, he's won more. He's only got 1 so far, but overall, yeah. I mean, he's the third best guy right now. So, that's good for him. I guess he's having some sort of back procedure, like not too big of a deal surgery. Not sure why or what he hurt or whatnot, but he's doing that after the season's over. So that's why he's not being considered for the 250 for Motocross of Nations. So what kind of videos would you guys like to see? I'm always interested. I always have my eyes open. I'm always listening. This weekend I've tried to make this video in the past and I never could because of some funky copyright issues. Even though I used a bunch of footage and it fell perfectly under the Fair Use Act, which is why I'm able to upload these videos. It's because of a federal law called the Fair Use Act. You basically change the videos enough from its original broadcast enough to where it kind of becomes your own thing, right? So that's why a lot of my stuff is kind of documentary style. I don't really say anything over it, right? Like I'm not describing with my voice or whatnot. But I try to edit it to where it's documentary style and the highlights in the video segments kind of explain itself. So, hopefully I'm going to take another shot. I found some more good footage of this season I want to do. It's a motocross season that came down to the last moto to determine the winner. So, hopefully that passed copyrights as it should. And then I think you guys will enjoy it. It's a pretty historical season, one that's probably not very well known at all, especially to U.S. fans. So there's a little bit of a hint. So, do a crusty 90s edit sprinkled with Fresno smooth. Yeah, that would be funny. That'd be funny. I am doing it's going to be called Terra Firma 22. So I'm going to kind of bring back the Terra Firma series, at least for this year. Depending on how it does, I'll bring it back next year. But it's going to be edited exactly like Terra Firma. It's going to have 90s music. And it's all going to be footage from free riding, freestyle. There's not a whole lot of freestyle going on these days, at least that's in the mainstream. Free riding, motocross, supercross, enduro. Yeah, all that good stuff. So, looking forward to doing that. It's going to be all 2022 footage. That'll probably come out probably beginning of October, so look for that. Yeah, depending on how it does, I'll have to do a Terra Firma 23. But so yeah, that's fun. That's kind of the big project edit I'm working on because I want it to be professional. I want it to look good. I want the edit to be good. The only issue I'm running into is I have a good video editor, but sometimes the videos come out a little laggy. And man, it's a pain. It's such a pain. So, let's see. If Malcolm and Coop, this is by the Joey G. If Malcolm and Coop were outdoors, you think either could get a win? I don't think so. I think they would be fighting in the top 5, you know, that 3 to 7, 8 range, but I don't know. I think for Malcolm, the challenge would be is he hadn't ridden outdoors and thinks it's 2014. So that's a long time. I feel like this would be he'd probably get better as the season went on, but that's tough when you don't do it for like 7, 8 years. So I feel like he might get a podium, probably top fives. But yeah, it was a bummer that he got hurt right before the season or re-injured that knee. Cooper, I think he was doing good at the end of last year, so that was cool to see. But it was a new bike this year, so that kind of got thrown out the window. I'd say he would be in the same kind of range. It hasn't seemed to translate for Cooper on the 450s outdoors like it did for him on the 250s, because on the 250s, he looked like, to me, a better outdoor rider than a supercross rider. And it seemed to totally flip flop when he got on the 450s, especially the KTM. So I'm not sure why that is. I think something I've thought is the reason why maybe Cooper hasn't had the success outdoors is because I think outdoors just requires a little bit more physical strength. And he's a smaller guy. It's not a put down, but he's a smaller guy. And the 450s, I think, just kind of wear you out by the end of these motos unless you kind of have that strength to kind of control it a little bit better. Obviously, if you're a little stronger, you probably weigh a little bit more. That takes away from cardio a little bit. But if you look at the top two guys right now, Eli and Chase, I mean, they're probably, if you were to do like a strength test, right, like bench, squat, and deadlift, Chase and Eli would probably have the best lifts out of the rest of the 450 class, at least out of the rest of the top 10, in my opinion. You could tell they're physically stronger guys, and that's probably just a genetic thing. So I think that's why they're able, or at least one of the reasons why their technique is phenomenal. And technique's obviously a huge part, but I think that's why they're able to kind of push it to that next level. Is they have a strength that maybe some of the other guys don't, and on top of that, they're in awesome cardio shape. So the strength doesn't seem to take away from their cardio, right? They got a good balance, and yeah, I just think that's something that's maybe been overlooked in the sport, or at least when it comes to the 450s, specifically in outdoors, is the strength aspect. I feel like these guys maybe focus on strength a little bit more. Maybe they would be able to push the speeds, have higher speeds because they can control the bike, right? These 450s are, they're heavier than the old two strokes, and they kind of, with all their power and torque and how quickly they accelerate, when you hit those edges, they kind of kick you, and then they're trying to save it, balance it, and that takes energy, right? Where if you're a little stronger, I feel like you can control the bike just better. But obviously, it's a balance between strength and cardio. So if you look at Tomac, he doesn't really get out of shape that much, and I think is because he's got really strong core, really strong legs, so he's able to keep that bike under him and keep it from really getting crazy on him, which then not only saves energy, but then he could push it more. I don't see like a Cooper Webb being able to ride like Eli did the second moto at Millville, where it's just full throttle sending it through all those bumps, ruts, all that stuff. So yeah, my opinion, it's just kind of a observation. I think maybe lack of strength is kind of overlooked. Maybe these guys can benefit from maybe putting on a few pounds of muscle, or maybe doing some more strength oriented exercises, maybe some lower reps, just to kind of get that ability to handle those bikes. So, if you look at one thing I thought of, not to continue on with this one conversation, but one thing I kind of noticed is for a few years there, it was basically outdoors. It was Tomac versus Muskin, right? Muskin is just naturally a really thin guy, and that's totally fine. But he was super technical. But if you saw, the 2 years in a row at Southwick, 17 and 18, Eli ran right up on him, passed him, and when Muskin tried to hang with him, so he had to kind of bulldog it himself, he got out of shape both times, and I think just kind of lost control of the bike and threw it away. And I think it was probably because of a lack of just physical strength. So, um, yeah, my opinion, but I'm really nobody to comment on that. Just something I've noticed. Brad Gebhardt, Cooper is also 5'6". Yeah, so was Ricky, right? But look at Ricky. Look at if you go back, especially during the four-stroke era, Ricky was stocky. He was short, but he was stocky. You could tell Ricky was strong, right? And that's why he was able to hang it out and hit things kind of like Tomac. I think Ricky got a lot more squirrely than Tomac did. Ricky definitely crashed a little bit more than Tomac does, but Ricky had the strength. He had the ability to keep that 450 under control, and so I think that's the difference. When I look at Cooper, he's just a little thinner than Ricky was. He's obviously thinner than a Eli Tomac or Chase Sexton. So, but I don't think his height is so much the issue. Because obviously, yeah, Ricky, about the same height. So, yeah, Matt says the track ate him up in reference to Marvin at those points once Eli passed him. Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a reason why Eli Tomac is the best at Southwick, and it's because he's just able to hit things harder, which then you can carry more momentum. And I think he's able to hit things harder partially because of his strength. And you're able to keep that thing under control. Like I said a few times now, probably you don't have to expend that much cardio energy. So it's a balancing point, though. Like I weigh between 245 and 250, so there's no way I could do a 30 minutes plus 2 laps. I probably got a plus 2 laps. I mean, that's it. But you know, definitely don't want. This would be way too much. So what else are you guys thinking? What were some things you thought about this last race? What are your predictions for Unadilla? Is there anything you think both riders can do in this break to potentially gain an edge? Right. When I look at Tomac, he's so aggressive. I think that was where Chase got him this last weekend. Is you need that kind of that precise roll speed at Washougal. It looks kind of slick and it's got some weird kind of chop and bumps. So I think that's where Chase got him in the second motos. He was just able to be a little bit more methodical. If you look at the two riders, you would never think they were going the same speed based on their body English. And I feel like I don't think it's really something Eli should change or whatever, but maybe he could focus on the next few weeks, maybe a little better roll speed, maybe being a little bit more patient coming in and at the middle of the turn instead of just trying to slam in, dump the clutch and go. Obviously, that's his bread and butter, but I think if he wants a chance at Unadilla, he's got to be patient. He's got to still have his pick and choose when to let the clutch go like he does. And then Sexton, I don't know. I think he's got the all out speed obviously to hang with Tomac. He's proved that 4 motos in a row now. And yeah, it was funny listening to Ryan Villapoto. He was commenting. He's like, I don't know where Chase makes up this speed or this ground because it doesn't look like that he should just up horsepower hill. Chase gapped Eli almost every time, and it doesn't look like that he should. But at the bottom there, he was just able to roll through it so much better. It's really fun to watch. Matt says, if you watch John's old mountain bike footage from the 90s, you can visually see where Eli's legendary bike control comes from. Oh, totally. Yeah, it's technique. It's probably 90% technique, 10% strength, and the 10% strength mean an advantage compared to the other riders, right? I think Tomac is physically stronger than the rest of the top 10 guys, at least where you need to be strong, right? In your core and in your legs. You look at someone like the kind of go back to the strength subject. But you look at someone like Malcolm, he's obviously strong. He's pretty stocky and stuff, but I think at the end of the races, that's why maybe he falls off, or did in the past. This last season, he seemed like he was in great shape, but that's probably why he fell off at the end, because maybe it's a little bit too much strength, a little bit too much size to get through to the end. So there's that balancing point right there. So yeah, what's your predictions for Unadilla? Let's see some comments. What's your predictions for this championship? Do you see Chase winning out? He very well could. Do you see Eli winning out? Do you see a mixture? What do you guys think? Fred Garvin says, "Are you talking about Eli's pants falling off?" No, I was just we were kind of talking about strength versus cardio. My opinion, I think Eli is able to kind of ride the way he does with mostly technique, and strength is kind of where he kind of has an edge maybe on somebody else. Not Sexton though. I think Sexton's got some good strength too. But yes, Eli's pants falling off, that had to be a factor in that second Millville moto. That would bug the crap out of me. Especially when you got Chase on you like that the whole time. You're already worried about hitting your lines, and this guy just coming in on you or not. Yeah. Man, the championship is up in the air at this point. I can't make an educated guess. Yeah, same here. I feel the same way. I could see it going. I could see Chase coming out at Unadilla, and I could see him going undefeated in the last, what would it be? What, 12 motos? No, it's not 12 motos. Terrible at math. So, yeah. I could see him winning every moto for the rest of the season. I could see Tomac winning every moto for the rest of the season. I could see them swapping motos every race for the rest of the season to where they tie on points. I don't know. I don't know. The Joey G picks Eli. Fred Garvin picks Eli. Love your videos, by the way, from Fred Garvin. I appreciate it. Like I said earlier, if you have any suggestions, throw them in there. I'm always looking for ideas. A lot of my good ideas have come from suggestions. So, yeah, throw them in there. Let's see. Where do you see Francis fitting in on his return? That's a great question. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he can get into the mix. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like a sixth place guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a third place guy. I would probably be surprised if he gets the moto win. He's obviously got the ability, but to come in these last 4 rounds after being hurt, I think he just got on the bike like a week or two ago, so he's probably going to have a month on the bike by the time he starts. I have a hard time seeing him beating Eli and Chase right now. I think if he came in healthy and had been racing the whole season, I definitely think he's in the mix, and it's a 3-rider battle for the championship. But I think he has a tough time hanging with this Chase and this Eli this year too. So I don't know. Time will tell. I'd say I'm gonna give him top 5 for Unadilla. That's a track that suits him. It's technical. He was the second best guy there last year. So I see that. I could see Chase washing out in a crucial moment. I mean, he's done it. He's done it. And honestly, I could see both of them making that critical mistake, because they've kind of both done it now, right? I mean, Chase kind of threw it away at Thunder Valley. He threw it away at Millville, Moto 1. But Eli very well could have thrown it away here at Washougal. He did fall over. It was a stall, but it was a mistake, right? And, if he didn't have the pressure that he did behind him, he probably doesn't do that. So at the pace they're going, either one of them could probably have a big get-off. I'd say Chase probably has a better chance of having a big get-off just because Tomac is so solid. You don't see Tomac swapping I mean, just a few times where Pastrana and Villapoto went down there at Washougal after the S turns. Chase, I think twice had a pretty big swap from his rear end, so I think he's got a little bit more of a chance of maybe throwing it away with a big crash, but I think he's figured it out how to not do that, or to maybe have a little tip over here and there, but nothing major. So let's see what we got going on here. Fred Garvin says Eli seems to have lost his tendency to choke. Yes. If you heard, there was a pre-race show from Thunder Valley this year. Tomac was talking about how if his rear end is a little bit too squatted, then he has to keep himself on the bike by holding on too tight. That's why he would pump up and have those weird rides. So, was it him choking or was it a bike setup issue? Um, I think there's definitely some moments where he got a little antsy and it caused him making mistakes, but I could see how these rides where he gets, eighth or fifth or 10th in the past, I could see where that could have been a bike setup issue because you got to think he hammers it so hard with the clutch and the throttle and just, I mean, 70% of the time he's wide open. I mean, think about if he's having to hold himself on with his arms. I mean, you would pump up so fast. So, but overall, whether it's the bike setup or he did have a tendency to choke, yeah, he seems to have fixed that, and that's really impressive because you don't really see riders fix bad tendencies very often. Um, you look at Stewart; he never fixed the tendency of having those big get-offs, right? And so, yeah, very impressive that he's been able to correct that, whatever the issue was, whether it was bike or if it was a mental thing. So, let's see here. Only coincidental, and by God, they both stayed in the same position. Oh, I know. That was so nuts. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that. And for them to both have a hard time getting the electric start to fire and they're on the ground and you could tell like they're both trying to rush and Tomac gets and looks behind him and Sexton's right there. Yeah, that was comical. So let's see here. Fred Garvin, any Ricky Johnson content would be my suggestion for future videos. Yeah, I haven't made up my mind, but I typically stay in between from the early 90s until present just because, I didn't see those guys race. I really didn't even see McGrath race firsthand, but I grew up with the Terra Firma videos, so that's why I go back that far, right? So it's just not an era that I know of personally. So I would really I like to try to keep it within the parameters of what I kind of grew up with and what I'm aware of. Um, but that's not to say that I don't go further back in history in the future. You know, I have kind of played around with the idea, and I tried to research some footage because a lot of these videos it's all based on footage. Is there footage out there to support a video concept? And the 80s seems very hit and miss, at least with Supercross. I forget. I think I wanted to do a video where it was like every Anaheim Supercross that has ever been raced all in one video. And it was very hard to find Anaheim Supercross races pre 1990. So that's kind of the issue I run it with most of the time is just not having enough footage available out there to make a video. Because the footage I use to make my videos is what's available to the rest of the public. I don't have any secrets or any databases or anything like that. So, Robbie Knievel? I guess that could be something that I could do. but it's not really like a motocross video, right? Like I kind of focus on motocross. I've done a little bit of freestyle stuff because of Pastrana, but that's kind of what that's what I stick to is kind of the racing aspect. I haven't done any other freestyle riders besides Pastrana. Maybe I will in the future, but it's definitely something to kick around. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind and definitely think that one over. Fred Garvin, that was a wild moment. Eli tipping over, Chase riding into the back of him. It was like Rocky and Apollo Creed knocking each other out, and whoever got fastest would win. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, that couldn't have worked out better for Tomac, and it couldn't have worked out worse for Chase. Um, you could tell after that moto that Tomac was pissed about that when he was sitting down there before they did interviews. He was kind of like, ugh. I think Eli getting married and having kids has centered him. He's making way less mental mistakes these days. That definitely helps. Think. I think we've seen that multiple riders. I mean, you look at Jason Anderson. He got married, got serious, and he seemed to have a great year. So I think just stability, right? Because you got to think these guys go through the same life issues we do, right? But they're professional athletes at the same time. So, if you're having relationship problems or family problems or whatever, I mean, that's going to directly affect your racing. So it seems like Eli's got a good thing going on in his life. I obviously know nothing about his life, but yeah, it seems like he's got it all together at the moment. And he's had all this experience now. Um, one thing I think that's really impressive is a lot of people thought Tomac was done last year. Um, Towards the end of Supercross, he was struggling really bad. I think he got like an 8th and a 10th, and just, man, what was going on? And then he started outdoors, got like an 8th and a 10th, and to come back from that slump, that bad of a slump, that's impressive to me. How many times you see a top rider at 28 years old, so they're pretty much ready to retire, go through a major slump, and they're able to get back out of it. Now, he made a great move by going to Yamaha, but still, that takes a lot of, I think, mental strength to come back from that, especially when everybody's in your ear that you're done. And I'm sure he was thinking it too, like, man, what's going on? So for him to come back from 2021 and then he actually finished the outdoor series, he looked like the fastest guy. He got the better of Ferrandis there the last 3 rounds or so. Yeah, very impressive that he was able to turn that around, and he turned it around before he even got on Yamaha. So, yeah. Let's see what we got going on. Matt, I think you should cover the 2014 MXDN unless you did and I missed it. The one where Tomac tore the outside lines on that Geico. Yes. So if you guys don't know, I have a secondary channel. It's called WD 840 MX Sports. It's because I'm a fan of like UFC, kickboxing, older football. So that's kind of my other channel where I can kind of do a variety of things. And most of the stuff I do on that channel is motocross. So yes, I do have a short video on Tomac just shredding the sands. That was incredible. I'd say that race and Millville of this year is probably the 2 times I've seen Tomac just on a completely another level, even from himself. So, yeah, go check that out. That was awesome. He came from I want to say like 30th to 3rd in that moto there. That was in Latvia. So yeah, that video's up there. You can find it pretty easily. I think it's only posted it maybe like a month or 2 ago, so shouldn't have to look too hard. When they're both trying, let's see, Matt, when they're both trying to get their bikes running, the heart rates would have been 200 beats per minute. Yeah. Especially Tomac. I mean, he picked up the bike and dropped it. Like, ugh. You can tell that he was like, ugh. And then Sexton's bike just would not start. So that was interesting. So let's see, what else can we talk about, or are we just about there? Is there anything else you guys want to cover I'll stick around for longer if we got some things to cover. If not, I'm not going to waste anybody's time. So, yeah, excited for Motocross of Nations. It looks like I should be able to make it there for the race itself, so that'd be cool. I think it'll be pretty historic. Last time it should be in the U.S. for a while. I think it'll be Tomac's last one. I think we'll have a good team. I just hope that we have good weather this year and that they don't alter the track like they did in 2018. I mean, I understand it was muddy, but they cut out quite a few sections there, and that wasn't cool. So, Fred Garvin, do you capture videos live or do you download all your source material? Pretty much just download all of them. Yeah. When I get an idea for a video, I like to really look around for the best footage I can. So yeah, typically I download them. I do my best to give the channel I download credit for the videos, but most of the time I don't, because I think it would put some heat on them, and I would like for them to be able to keep their stuff on YouTube and for other people to be able to watch, because I'm sure there's people watching. So it's one thing that's been kind of frustrating for me lately is got a couple copyright strikes from MX Sports, which is Pro Motocross, and they were on some videos I made at the beginning of my channel, so they were like 2 years plus old. So that kind of sucked, and unfortunately, when you get copyright strikes, then you get shadow banned by YouTube as a form of, I guess, discipline is how they look at it. So a lot of my videos recently haven't been getting but like a quarter of the typical views, so that's kind of tough, right? So I actually might switch this live talk, Let's Talk Motocross, over to my secondary channel, just to see if that helps things out, see if we can get some more of you guys in there. So, but we'll see. You know, I'm just kind of grateful for what I got, and yeah, so just keep trucking along. Let's see, we've been going for quite a while now, so any last questions? I'll give you guys a few more minutes if you want it. And make sure to leave a comment if you'd like to see this continue in the future, what topics you'd like to talk about. If you have any questions, throw them in there and I'll address them next time. Yeah, just give me whatever you guys want to say, any suggestions. Like I said, it's always welcome. I'm doing this not because I want to be an attention getter. I'm doing this because I want to connect with you guys a little bit more than just through my typical videos. I don't need to do these. Yeah, I do plenty fine with just the videos themselves. So, but I like interacting with you guys, and yeah, it's always fun. It's always a good time. So, Fred Garvin, this was cool. Would definitely participate again. Right on. Yeah, I'll probably start doing this on the secondary channel, probably about the same time on a Monday. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. If you guys do me a favor, like this video, share it to whoever you think might find it interesting. And yeah, just stay tuned and keep commenting and tell me what you guys think and what you want, so I could try to make these videos better and better and better. So yeah. Well, thanks guys. I appreciate it. This was good. And yeah, we'll probably see you next Monday. So we'll see you. Thanks.